Okay, so this video I'm just gonna run through what we did to finish and edit our final media product. So I'm gonna be talking about the different sound effects we used, the text, what we did with the text, and the color correction and things like that. So yeah. Okay, so this first noise here, you heard the sound you get when you get a text, and what we did, we didn't actually use a mic when we filmed because we didn't have one available. So what we did is we did this recording and found out that the noise of the text wasn't actually loud enough and clear enough. So what we did is we went online and we downloaded one that was exactly identical at the same time that went off, and we made it a bit more realistic by keeping the sound in the background as well, so it still felt like it was there. And it's the same with that one as well. So the reason we use that is because it was a lot clearer that he sent a text, and it gives it a good effect to use. It's the same with this as well. So this CCB Films Presents. So we got the text from Final Cut, and we also got the sound effect from Final Cut, the typewriting, as we felt it would just be a bit boring if we didn't have any sound to it, and the text noise of it's timed perfectly with the way the CCB Films Presents goes. So okay, so in that first, what we've seen there, we saw him running along the river. What we wanted to do is, we purposely positioned him in different positions. When you heard the beat, we felt like it intensified the scene a bit and progressed things, because we didn't want to show him running for too long, as we thought it might get a bit boring for the people who are viewing it. So there's another thing you might have noticed. We didn't, in the running scene, we didn't always go for the still shots using the tripod. So for this one, I followed Cameron whilst running with the camera, and the purpose of it was so we got that shaky effect, as it sort of made it seem a bit more realistic. Rather than still shots, we wanted to just add another dynamic into it, which we thought worked well. Okay, so there you see the first sort of effect we did. So Knockout's obviously the title, and what we did is we used an effect called Bad TV, where what it does is it actually shakes the text, and we also added an earthquake feature on it, which moves it up and down. And so we just felt using this, it sort of made it clear that how hard he was punching the garage, and if we had the text move rather than stay still, it sure showed his strength in a way, and his aggression he had, which we thought worked well. So here's another thing we did. What we wanted to do with the text, as you see the text here, where my mouse is, we used grunge, and the reason we didn't want to use a sort of obvious font where it's just plain text was because it wasn't really the effect we were going for. So we decided to use sort of a grainy text, which sort of we felt matched the atmosphere in the room as well. And yeah, you'll notice that throughout this video we tried integrating the text into the background as much as possible, as it made it a bit more interesting and looked a bit more professional. Okay, yeah, so in this shot what we did is we wanted to use a POV perspective for the audience, as it gave the impression as him in his shoes, how he was feeling, and you can tell by the way the hands are wrapped and the way he's moving his hands around that it's like adds a bit more to the scene rather than just filming him move his hands around. We thought it would work well in showing what he's doing and what he's doing to prepare to start training. Another audio thing we did then was that in this, you can see it here where my cursor is. So what we did in this one was we actually moved the level of the audio volume up so you could hear the Velcro strapping. So yeah, we did that. And because it's an extreme close-up, the audience would expect to hear the noises that are actually happening at the time. Okay, so there we actually see the first punching scene of the opening sequence, and likewise with the title we used that bad TV in the earthquake effect, which shook the whole frame a bit and added to that sort of like glowing effect, and we just felt just him punching the bag just might become a bit, because he does it quite frequently, it might become a sort of a bit tedious for the audience, and so adding that effect sort of changed the dynamic a bit of it and made it more interesting and sort of intensified the scene. And there's another example of where he's punching the text as well as hitting the bag. It sort of shows that his punching is affecting other things around it, such as the text we used as well. So what we did here is that we didn't want just a plain shot of the calendar. So what we did is where my mouse is, we added the shot of Ben crossing out the calendar, and we put it over the clip of him doing pad work. And so what we did was we put the opacity of that down, as you can see here, 16.68, and it made it, well, yeah, so it gives out that transparent effect where you can see two things happening at once, which we felt was useful in the time managing for this scene. So another thing I haven't spoke about yet is the color correction throughout the whole scene. So obviously, if we go back to the start here, where there's the running scene, that's not actually the natural light, and because we shot the running scenes in the same day and the weather sort of stayed the same, what we did is we actually added an effect called this one here, called cool tones. And obviously if I do that now, it's going to add another cool tone, so it makes it darker. So what we did was we added that throughout the clips, and where the saturation didn't exactly match up, so some scenes may be darker than others, we moved that around and made it so all the scenes sort of match the same colour correction, and it sort of gave it that dark, eerie effect that should make the audience feel quite sort of uncomfortable, which we felt was useful. And it's the same throughout the whole training scene, because this was all shot on the same day as well. And what we had is in that corner there, we had LED lights which we used, and we sort of positioned them around depending on where camera was standing and where we wanted to film. Let's go from here. Okay, so you would have seen there is we used a transition and we did a swipe, and so it sort of just made the scene, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to fit a month into, I think it was 2 minutes 37, 2 minute 30 worth of clips. And so we felt that the calendar was really useful, as we were able to sort of split the time into different events and move quickly on the month. So I think we went from something like the 7th, and then we went halfway through, and then the end, and that's what that one day to go was, just here. So we used that to show the audience that all this training throughout this month leads to the day after this one's shown. And again, there you would have seen the earthquake and bad TV effects, as like similar clips on the punch bag, because he hit it hard on that one. So we just felt it really represented like the power and aggression when he just hit the speedball then. And then in that last clip, we made sure that he moved out of the frame and headed towards the garage door, and this was the first time the audience saw him actually leave, even though we've gone through a month, and we did that so it sort of showed that it sort of represented his dedication, that he hadn't actually, it makes it look like he's in there quite a lot of his time and he's prepared to do that training.